Greetings. Over 2,000 years ago, a being known as Yeshua, from a spiritual family known as the family of Sananda, descended into earth, incarnated into a physical body, just like every other being that comes to earth and chooses to experience itself here on earth. Yeshua came into this experience and became known by many as Jesus. He represented then Christ's consciousness, a consciousness that has yet to really be fully understood by most of humanity, not because he failed to teach it, but because it hasn't been offered in the way that he had taught it or was teaching it. So much of his teachings as being Jesus had so much to do with embracing Christ's consciousness as a state of union between the heart and the mind. For within the mind of God and the heart of God, there exists the Christed ones. And the Christed ones throughout time, throughout all of creation, have served from this place. They have been called many things with many different titles and many different labels, created a variety of different organizations to represent Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness on earth has yet to be fully realized, but it's becoming realized, not because of any group or organization, but because of individuals like yourself who are willing to explore your own unique relationship with Spirit as your heart feels that connection to be true. As you look at the life then of the one known as Jesus, he proclaimed that there would be a second coming 2,000 years after his life. Indeed, he was not speaking for the human that was known as Jesus, but for the consciousness or the being that is known as Yeshua. For Yeshua could see that it would take 2,000 years for humanity to come full circle, to be able to open up to the potential that this very consciousness, Christ consciousness, the balance between the male and female aspects within yourself, the male being represented by your mind and the female by your heart, that these two aspects of creation, of Spirit itself, would be embraced and embodied as a human being. That this would be the second coming of the Christ, the second coming of Christ consciousness. Now it was unknown to Yeshua and to all of us whether it would ask of him to personally once again descend, return back to physical reality, and to demonstrate again in another form with a new name what it means to embrace and embody Christ consciousness. What each of you have done individually as souls who made the same choice to come here to be at the forefront of this new change on earth, this shift in consciousness that is happening on earth at this time, a shift that would ask of you to stop using solely your male nature to try to figure out life. In particular, to stop relying on a conditioned male aspect of yourself, your conditioned human mind, when at your disposal is also a divine mind that doesn't have any of the control issues, doesn't have any of the same concerns, worries, or doubts that reside within this conditioned human mind. And so a second coming was proclaimed that this would be the time, a time that was unknown whether humanity would embrace this reunion within themselves and begin to embody Christ consciousness. As we perceive it then, many of you have already done that with yourself or are in the process of doing that. And yet it is a process or an experience that continues to grow, change, and evolve. It continues to expand within itself and is expressed uniquely from itself by everyone and anyone who embodies this consciousness. There is no singular truth to how Christ consciousness can be understood, can be experienced, can be embodied. The beauty of Spirit is Spirit desired a unique, individuated experience through a endless variety of expressions of itself. And those expressions or aspects of spirit are you. You too are spirit, having this experience here on earth to recognize that this is the time for you to come to terms with how it is that your mind has become exhausted, feeling responsible for your life, and with all the problems that face humanity at this time. The mind is throwing its arms up and saying, I haven't a clue what to do. I'm going into panic. I'm going into confusion. I'm going into confusion and panic because I'm disconnected and feel disconnected from the source that provides solutions to our dilemma. And so within that relationship then, here with Gaia, Gaia offers that very consciousness that you seek for yourself. Gaia is then the embodiment of a angelic being who has descended into the entire form that you call Earth, and within the body of the Earth exists this presence of consciousness that already embraces and embodies Christ consciousness. And yet in so many ways, the conditioned human mind and those even within the stars that have become so mental, they do not recognize when they come here on earth the beauty or the gift that's being offered here by earth and by the presence of the consciousness that you call Gaia. So many of you look out into the heavens to see home, to find home, or to feel the presence of spirit. And we would say to you, that presence is right below your feet. That presence actually exists within the body that you borrowed, so that your eternal soul, your non-physical soul, could have an experience with itself and others here as a human being. And so when you speak of Christ consciousness, Gaia then offers a wonderful place for you to explore that for yourself, and offers herself or himself, as Gaia represents then the balance between both male and female aspects. He, she, then Gaia, offers a relationship to help you discover that that relationship is available to anyone at any time. The times that you are living in, the times of this recording, the year 2011, offer a prime time, a very unique opportunity. For as there are cycles of change throughout all of creation, you have entered a cycle that is at the end of its cycle to begin something new. Not that something new is preordained, but something new is expected. Something new must be honored to honor the changing, evolving, and ever-expanding nature of God, of the source of life, of spirit. And so it is then that so many of you have chosen to, in your own unique way, represent the second coming of Christ consciousness, as you have chosen to embrace and embody this very consciousness within your own life. And you've grown to understand it is a challenge. It is a challenge to your human mind to trust in such a relationship, in a relationship that is unseen to this mind, a relationship that triggers all the safeguards that it put in front of it to protect the wounded human heart, or the violated heart of your own soul, when it has tasted then an exchange of energy that has so much to do with extracting from you rather than sharing with you. And so these times that you live in indeed do represent the second coming. And as we look at the one known as Yeshua, and as I, Michael, am dear brothers and a dear friend with this one you know as Yeshua, I would say, he would say, he is not needed. For you are doing what he wanted or wanted to initiate. You are doing what was offered. You are embracing the gift that was shared in his life as the one known as Jesus. You are embracing Christ consciousness as being your own divine heritage, as being a part of your own spiritual lineage. And that, beloveds, changes everything, as it is changing everything in your life now, in the days to come. All of our blessings to each of you.